One thing that we wanted you guys to do is a four corner synectic. So the way we're going to organize this is pretending that in this corner over here is like skydiving, in this corner over here is like surfing, in the back corner over there is like scuba diving, and this corner over here is like zip lining. So if you could gravitate to one of those four corners, oriented just like the picture on the screen, using the prompt, participating in this session is like blank. So you're picking one of those four squares. It's like either skydiving, surfing, scuba diving, or zip lining because. So think about which of those four pictures attending this session or attending the Institute feels like for you. Gravitate toward one of those four corners, and then you'll have a dialogue with your other members around the because part. Why did you select one of those sports to represent being here?
So continue your conversation.
Alrighty. So jeans are
like the eye color, the hair color. And
jeans are like the genetic makeup of yourself.
And like left-handed and right-handed. Then you have to disclaim what chromosomes are, genotype and phenotype.
No, that's for another person. You only answer one.
You can just, oh yeah, that's
section.
right. I talked about chromosomes.
So now Hunter, you go. Perfect 10.
I've already done that.
You have?
I did.
No, oh yeah.
5. We did that. You've already done that. 8. We've already done that.
I already did. No, you can answer another.
You can do it. Oh, okay.
No, they have an X and a Y.
No, they don't.
Female have two
Oh
X's.
yeah, that's female have 2 X's, and they have X and Y. Okay.
If they relate with genes.
So like this. Like, yeah. See if you. See.
Very good. Keep going.
Pseudopods. What do you Gleaner move with? You Gleaner move with the giants, right?
I'm doing the chromosomes like the male has.
Celia.
What's amoeba?
Pseudopod.
6. Explain certain processes. Photosynthesis involves. They just got it. Magic roll number 9. Dominant trait, recessive traits.
Dominant traits are capitalized.
Dominant traits are capital letters. Very good. We skipped you in the last.
9. 9 again? No, I'm redoing it.
Genetic dominant. Oh.
Again.
5.
No.
Did you? 10.
Punnett squares.
Punnett squares.
That's the one I had the last time, and then I had a
Isn't that where it's like it has capital letters and lowercase letters in it?
No, I got 10 before I went and dumped my thing.
Out of the three different options, talk to me about pros and cons and which you think you would go back and use first in your classroom if you haven't done any of these. What's a win-win? What's a little, I heard some concerns here with sixth grade and maybe those cubes. Was it the cubes or was it the?
With these, I think like, especially an incoming sixth grader, I want to be able to use this at the beginning of the year because, you know, they're coming fresh out of elementary where everything has been like handed and fed to them the whole time. Right. And then for me just to toss this at them and be like, okay, analyze something, they're going to be like, what is an analysis in the first place?
Very good point. And that may not just be in sixth grade. That could be, it may be where we need to teach that beforehand and then do it. Yes, ma'am.
We talked about that over here. We talked about using these cubes first. Yeah. And then moving to that one. Mm-hmm.
Take that, use your, and I apologize, I changed screens. Use your random number generators first because you can control exactly what you want them to talk about, then build to one of those two cube sections.
I was thinking with these, I would come up with like questions beforehand. So if they roll, like it says where are, if they roll where are, I already have the question.
What you have to
answer. Where are low pressure systems in the United States right now?
So start with that and then allow them, and then maybe by the end of the year, they're doing that on their own where they're creating their own question and answering it. What about this table?
I like this, but I would want to do this with each level of balloons and put like the level of balloons, the questions under, and that way they would stay under that one area of balloons.
For each cube? Mm-hmm. Interesting. That's good.
And,
yes, Alex.
And as we move into the new standard where balloons is not there anymore, the verbiage is more important in the new set of standards than they ever were in the current set. And if you don't teach it to the level of that verb rigor,
they're not going to get it.
You will not be teaching the content at the level.
That's exactly right. That's very true. Thanks. I appreciate the feedback because this is this one I have not done. So this was the first time for me. And Amy and I, when we were talking about when I had done cubing a couple times, and we were looking at the book and talking about this, one of the challenges was, supplies. Do we have this? Do we have that? And something as easy as, making these. Are these going to last forever? No, obviously not. We know how our kids are on stuff. But
I just cut them out when she walked in the door.
Yeah. I was going to cut them on the way here, and I stuck my bag in Katie's trunk and couldn't get to it. So, super simplistic. You can put them in groups and then cut their own, tape them up, and you're ready to roll that day.
Yeah, and they probably would
last a little bit longer. Yeah, tons of different ways you can do it. I mean, that's just three different manipulatives, and think about how many ways you could use those on different levels within your classroom.
Yeah,
and
it's about being creative with what manipulative you're using because it's about the variety. If you use a cube every day,
not gonna work.
It's just another thing. It's about interspersing it sporadically that gives it that, we're going to do something different now. That, even if the words are the same or the idea is the same, it's that whole idea of the different. That's what makes it for them.
And that's what, personally for me, has been the most beneficial is just taking something and not even meaning to, but changing one little thing about it, and then, oh my gosh, we got a whole new activity. They think I have just invented something new. And all I did was, throw a red ball at them instead of a green one. But it's all brand new to them. So. Messed that up by clicking something. So those beach balls are supposed to be out in 10. Last activity for today that I am a huge fan of, and I'll have to give Ms. Schaefer here credit. She teaches sixth grade at College Park, and got to watch in one of our sessions, I got to watch a video of her doing this activity. And I had kind of looked at her like she was crazy when I first heard her talking about it because I had read about it. It's about all I was going to do. I just wasn't going to go there yet. And many of you have probably used this in your own rooms, but she had done say something outside with her class, and I think they were just in pairs. And if you guys are familiar with the strategy, dialogue strategy, where you have beach balls involved, and process is you're going to have something on that beach ball that you want your students to talk about. And I have mine when they toss it, wherever their right thumb lands, that's where the particular conversation is stemmed from. Well, when I did mine, and I've got a video clip of this one. when I did mine, I did not go outside. I stayed inside. I had, I think, 28 students. So confines of a room, 28 kids, 5 groups, I think. I was a little nervous. Some of this is new for me. So that was a little challenging for me. It ended up being the most controlled, one of the best days I taught the entire year. I had so much fun when we did it. And the things that they retained, we did this as a review prior to pass. And this was second 9 weeks material. Hadn't been there, talked about it in a while. And I could have spent 2-3 class periods. Easy, nonstop. I probably could have let them toss that ball the rest of the day, and they still would have had stuff that they could say. And it was kind of that aha moment for me that they really had taken it with them. It wasn't just memorization. They were able to build upon the things that that we had learned back in second 9 weeks. So when I did it with them, we were on the human body, or we were reviewing human body, and I put the systems on the ball. And I did it in 3 different rounds. This was something that after talking to Katie, she gave me some feedback on. Just be real specific with what you want them to talk about, because if you leave it too open-ended, they're kind of all over the board. So I did 3 different rounds. In the first round, I had them talk about just one organ. All they had to do was name an organ that was in the system. Keep it pretty simplistic. If you get it again or twice and can't think of something else, rename it, that's okay. Just want to continue that conversation. Second round, I had them take that organ and then explain its responsibility or function within that system. So we started simple, got them comfortable, they knew what they were doing, and then we kind of took it up to the next level. Third round, and these beach balls are going to make me crazy. Third round, I had them make 2 tosses before they spoke. So with somebody in their group, you had 2 systems that were landed on. So maybe they landed on the respiratory and the circulatory system. Well, now they had to make a connection between those 2 systems. So they're taking that organ, the function of the organ, and now they're making the connection within the system. And it was amazing that they could just keep on. There's obviously human body, there's so much you can talk about. But they really fed off each other. One, they had a great time with it because you're tossing beach balls in school. I mean, I wish I would have done that back in the day. And 2, they were really generating their own conversations. And from a classroom management standpoint, I could have walked out, they wouldn't have known I was gone. They were too in tune with what they were doing. I also threw in a graphic organizer. And so in between each round, they would sit down and they would write down everything they could remember. And then they would pair share. So I had already set up the groups, I'd set up the partners. So not only were they talking about it with a big group, we broke it down. They had time to process, they had time to write, and they had time to talk one-on-one. So as that one-on-one talking was occurring, if they maybe brought something else to the table that they didn't remember, they got that from their partner. Then we got up and we went again. So I did 3 rounds. There's some video that we're going to watch real quick. I incorporated Say Something as a dialogue strategy and threw in kind of a pair share with a graphic organizer included with that.
Nervous system. Your spinal cord.
Perfect. I want to play too.
Okay.
Muscular skeletal system.
How do you forget that?
Bicep.
I'm gonna say.
Listen to the song. It's talking about it right
See,
now.
I said nerves.
Good. When you think about those systems, when you think about the organs that were shared, think about when we studied them, how that process worked. Where did it start? Where did it end? And that may trigger some thoughts.
So how does this strategy assist students with understanding the science goals you had for this lesson?
Taking the human body systems and breaking them down for them to talk about specific organs within each system, and then taking the organs and talking about the organs and their functions, and then taking that and connecting the systems. I think doing it in that tiered type level allowed them to, especially as a review, go back and really process that information from before, and including a system that we had not covered yet. It gave them the opportunity to kind of reach out and get some prior knowledge to share that with their groups that they were working with.
So really the goal for the science lesson was to assimilate the information and then have a bridge point to start for the next piece that you wanted to layer in.
Absolutely. And allowing them to not only talk about it, but to go back and write about it, and then to pair share so that they could share not just with people in their group, but with their individual partner with their graphic organizers.
Okay. Okay, so really reading, writing, talking to extend their thinking.
Absolutely.
Bring it all together.
Felt like it. I didn't mean to think that big picture in the beginning because I started with just the idea of doing say something, but I was very happy with the results from adding the graphic organizer in and adding in the opportunity for them just to have that individual conversation with one other elbow partner. Just opened up a big picture to that group talk versus the one-on-one talk.
So really it started off with you wanting to use one strategy, and it sort of mushroomed into using multiple strategies when you saw the opportunity to go from individual to partners to group back to individual again.
Absolutely.
Okay. As you implemented the strategy in this lesson, what surprised you about your students' learning?
How much they remembered. I was actually overwhelmed with not just the very basic lower level stuff, but how they were really, I could have done 2 lessons and they could have talked the entire time. There was that much information to discuss, and that I just kind of sat back and was one of those wow moments. It was amazing.
So what have you learned about this disciplinary literacy strategy that others might find helpful, like you learned from Katie?
Not to be scared of it. I mean, you think beach balls, and it can get a little crazy with 7th graders. She had done it outside, which that creates a different situation. 28, 30 kids in a classroom, groups of 4 to 5 with beach balls could also create some type of chaos, but they love the strategy so much that they control their behaviors throughout that, which once again was a super positive for me, because they were on topic. Like I said, they could have gone on and on and on and on with the same subjects just because of the information that they were sharing. But taking the initiative to just go for it and try it was a big step for me. And then to realize how successful it was one of those aha moments that kind of gives me the confidence to continue trying different strategies that maybe I haven't done, or try them in a different way that I haven't tried them before.
So it really is letting go of the fear that things might not go as you expect them to, but then taking the learning opportunity for what it is, a growth for you and for the children to think, what can I learn better? What can I learn from this to move forward?
And I think they realized too how they were impressing me, which pushed them a little bit further. Let's just go a little bit harder. Let's go a little bit, stronger, and try to figure out where we can take it next. I mean, even when I wasn't with their group, taking part in their conversation, I knew what was happening in the other groups, and they were on topic every single time. And it truly amazed me at how much it allowed them to reach their potential and to prove to not just me, but to themselves how much they actually had learned and how much they were able to bring back to the table.
Well, one of the differences that I noticed is Katie did it with partners, pairs, where you did it in groups. So you took your 28 students, trying to manage that many children, to groups of 5, where you were monitoring those 5 groups. So you were really very careful in watching what they were doing, and it was giving you the opportunity to manage it a little bit easier.
And it gave me a chance to play too. I mean, I was able to hop right in and and have a toss and add some information that maybe they hadn't thought of yet, or sometimes they would tell me, hey, we already said that. So that was cool, and it made it more fun for me as well.
I think that was something too. You stepping in and being an active participant, not just the monitor of the mechanics behind it, but also providing connections for them, being engaged with them, help them to take that to the next level as well.
And I think it made them feel more comfortable too. It wasn't that I was standing there watching and listening to see what they were going to say, but as I played along, they realized they could just be themselves, and they could continue to learn and teach and grow, whether I was in the circle or I was, next door with another group.
Which is a cornerstone of your classroom. It's truly about active engagement for everybody. It's not just them or, as individuals or as groups, but that's the culture in the classroom as a whole.
Multiple choice questions where you can give the children and they get in the corner to decide their answer.
Put it somewhere.
So just take it over there. You can stand there.
And we use it during reading conversations. We have regular reading conversations where they have to say something about what they've read.
I have not used Prefix Mastery. I would have to read up on it a little more to make sure I understand
That's what you're doing right now. You have now used it.
I have now used it. No, I do the where I throw them the fishbowl and they have to answer the fishbowl.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something.
It's a win-win.
The big classroom helps because we're in tiny classrooms. It's very
So you may have to go outside. and try
Yeah, I
that.
mean, ours are just with 28 kids. You're on top of desk and.
Yeah.
Cubing, I have used it, and I did use I laminated
So the ones from
paper.
the book.
Yeah, and we used it in a variety of ways. We did toss terms where they had certain words that would come up, and they'd have to define the word or connect the word to something that they'd read.
Take that STEM conversation and those words, and you could do vocabulary practice for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something that simple.
Yeah. But I laminated the things, and what I did was I just wrote with a dry erase marker on it so that I could reuse them.
And that's what you saw that picture. It gets worn off at mid-session. I'm rewriting on them, but they get the point. So.
Synthetics. I haven't used the connections, but I plan on it. Like even starting off at the beginning of the year, I think that'll be a good icebreaker for me to kind of.
It's a great thing. I'd never used it in the classroom until I realized I was doing it at like professional developments. Like as a jumpstart, we did it, and they had different kind of cars around the room, and they said, "What kind of teacher are you? Are you a pickup truck? Are you a Volvo? Are you?" And I was like, "That's totally the same thing, kind of just spread out a little bit bigger." So. Definitely can be something that can be transposed in many different places.